there's often a stigma in school where the kids who perform bad, who get F's and don't care about doing their classwork, there's oftentimes a stigma where those kids are perceived as being cool. And it's actually a positive stigma in a sense because it's actually like a positive thing to be like the cool kid who didn't give a fuck about his grades and said fuck it. And I suggested that maybe the reason why being dumb in school is cool is because when you're forced to go to a school system where you're learning a bunch of shit you don't like, where it has no relevance to your passions, not being a slave to robotic, mindless schoolwork is actually an admirable quality. And it's not necessarily that these kids who get F's and are perceived as being cool, it's not that people think they're dumb. In a sense, it could be that they think they at least have enough self-respect to not force themselves to do a bunch of shit they don't want to do in the classroom. It's sort of just a theory and a possible explanation. And this idea of coolness and being in school reminded me of a PSA ad when I was a fucking kid. And literally, the name of the fucking ad was "Be Cool, Stay in School," a public service announcement. And it literally was reminded of it, and I found the fucking thing on YouTube. This thing used to air when like 23 years ago when I was fucking really young. So I'm going to go ahead and play that for you now.
If you wanna be cool to hear what I say, you gotta go to school every school day.
Cause if you want a good job, there's a very simple rule. You gotta get an education, gotta go to school.
You gotta get it all together if you wanna make it pay. You gotta stay in school till graduation day. So be cool, stay in school. Be cool, stay in school.
If you want to be cool, stay in school.
If you want to be cool, stay in school. Brought to you by the Council for Basic Education, Washington, D.C. There's something about these public service announcement ads which are clearly tailored for children. You know, with the catchy little song, the little cartoon penguin at the end, and the stupid penguins dancing. There's something really fucking sinister and evil about these ads. I'm sorry. These ads are evil, okay? Because they're targeted to children. And, I'm not saying that you can't get anything valuable out of school, okay? I'm not saying that if you're in school, you're completely wasting your time and it's evil. But I am saying that the idea that the only way to be successful, the only way to be happy, and according to this PSA, the only way to be cool is to stay in school, that fucking stigma, that stereotype is evil. It's not perpetuated because they actually care about you. This ad wasn't made because they care about you. You have to think about the intentions. This fucking ad coming out of Washington, D.C., 20 plus years ago, the Council for Basic Education. Do these people care about little kids? Or is there an other fucking motive going on? The truth is that the average mainstream school is basically an extension of corporate America. When you see a local school in your neighborhood and it looks all bright and pretty with all the little colors and all the little kids running around, yeah, and it seems so wholesome and nice, sometimes looks may be deceiving. And many schools, they're not these happy places designed to do what's best for kids. They're basically just off-site corporate training facilities. Like imagine a corporation, and then imagine that a corporation built little training facilities throughout the fucking country so they could suck kids into their little school factories and train you to be obedient little worker slaves. Now, I know that sounds really extreme. I'll back it up eventually by the time this video is over. But speaking of Washington, D.C., as it says right here, speaking for the Council for Basic Education, did y'all hear this recent rap song starring Michelle Obama? You guys may recall this little. It's a modern day PSA ad. It's called "Go to College" music video with First Lady Michelle Obama. Ironically, the Go to College music video was posted and created by the College Humor YouTube channel. College Humor, by the way, being run by what I suppose are a bunch of relatively young people who realize that a far more profitable and enjoyable way to get a career in life is to create stupid little comedy skits for kids in college, while the people who created this fucking channel left college so they could actually produce something of value. So there's more irony for you. This was released December 10th, 2015, just about 3 weeks ago. Here's a little snippet. Okay, whatever. It's a PSA. Now, I mean, ignore the fact that for Michelle Obama to so shamelessly encourage young kids to go to college, in an age where going to college is literally a death sentence. No, I didn't say death sentence. I said a debt sentence, though a death sentence might almost be as bad as a death sentence. Michelle Obama, maybe you shouldn't be so mindlessly encouraging people to go to college using manipulatively, entertaining rap songs to get kids all excited, gotta go to college. When the fact is that the average student who goes to college will be buried in a ton of debt that when they leave college, they might start to realize maybe that wasn't worth their time. But don't worry, you're creating enemies. One thing I find interesting is that at a later point in this video, they're saying, you gotta go to college if you want to be anything. And they have the audacity to cite Albert Einstein as proof of why you need to go to college. Listen. Einstein put in the time. They're suggesting that Albert Einstein is a genius because he went to college. oh, it's funny. Well, luckily for y'all, because I am working on my new book called Success Without School, Think Outside the Classroom, I have been doing extreme amounts of research, and here it is, by the way, Success Without School, Think Outside the Classroom. Actually, there's a free preview for the book. If you guys want to listen to the free introduction chapter of my book, get a free preview of it, check it out, just click the link below. But since I've been doing so much research for my new book, I got a quote for y'all. And this is a quote from a book called The Quantum Enigma, Physics Encounters Consciousness, and it talks about the history of the modern physics movement, specifically quantum physics. Here's a quote regarding Albert Einstein. Parents worried about mental retardation when young Albert Einstein was slow in starting to talk. Later, though, he became an avid and independent student of things that interested him. But his distaste for rote instruction at the gymnasium, high school, led to his not doing well in high school. Asked to suggest a profession that Albert might follow, the headmaster at high school confidently predicted, quote, "It doesn't matter. He'll never make a success of anything." The new business in Italy fared a little better. Young Einstein was soon on his own. He took the entrance exam to the Zurich Polytechnical Institute but did not pass. He was finally admitted the next year. On graduation, he was unsuccessful in trying for a position at Privatdozent. He had the same luck in applying for a teaching job at the gymnasium. In other words, Einstein had trouble passing tests to get into college. Okay? And he ended up later, the rest is history, he ended up later working at a post office, and he used his free time while working at the post office, hiding from his supervisor, to literally just daydream and passionately dwell into the realm of physics. Okay? Einstein didn't get his amazing theory of relativity and all his amazing, paradigm shifts. He didn't get those by sitting in a college classroom and memorizing, freaking Isaac Newton's intellectual discoveries. Think about it. How would Einstein come up with something new if he's sitting in a classroom memorizing something old? Every single intellectual discovery that we have as human beings, that we have accumulated in our databases for many, many years, every single intellectual discovery is the result of somebody thinking originally and thinking outside the box. And then we put what we thought of inside of a textbook. Our minds have the capacity to crack the coding of the universe as it is. We have the capacity. There's a fascinating link between the physics of the universe and the rational mind. Why is it that we can rationally come up with physics and mathematics which can literally describe the mechanical physical workings of the universe? There is something special about the universe and about the human mind. And this idea that the only way you can be intelligent or happy or successful is if you go to college. Well, guess what? Einstein was not admitted into colleges. Einstein had trouble getting into colleges, and ultimately, the things that made him famous, the ideas that got him into the college textbooks, where he's now being studied by students in college today, he came up with that when he was sitting in his fucking post office job. So, no. The idea that intelligence equals regurgitation, which, by the way, I might as well pull that shirt up now because I have a shirt that mocks that notion. It's actually available at my store. You should get the shirt because it's fucking cool. But the idea that intelligence equals regurgitation is nonsense. In fact, quite the contrary. Intelligence does not equal regurgitation. 10% off now. The shirt is available. As you get, intelligence does not equal regurgitation. Link below. Shameless plugging. Links below. So, it's like you have all these examples. Michael Faraday is another example. Bill Gates is another example. Steve Jobs is another example. The guy, what's his name? Can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's the guy who originally discovered the, I believe it's the genetic code or genes, genetics and DNA. He was a guy who either hated school or dropped out at an early age or dropped out of college. So you have a history of people who don't need to go to school and they tend to be amazing revolutionaries. There's even this kid, a child genius, Jacob Barnett. He's like 15 years old and now he teaches math to college kids at the age of 15. He himself said that if you want to come up with new ideas, if you want to be a revolutionary in terms of genius ideas, you have to, quote, stop learning, start thinking. And what he's alluding to is you have to stop learning, stop memorizing, stop filling your head with old information out of textbooks in the classroom, and instead start doing some of your own thinking. Think originally. Pioneer the field forward, the way Einstein, Faraday, and Newton did. So, what exactly, what is Michelle Obama's fucking intention? When Michelle Obama gets in front of the camera and starts prancing around like she cares about you and, tells you, hey, go to college even though you're going to get a shit ton of debt, and a lot of students are starting to question their decision. What is Michelle Obama's intention? Does she really care? Does she really care about you? Did this old PSA, if you want to be cool, stay in school, did this PSA care about kids? What if there is a corporate motivation involved here? What if these PSAs, in this old one, it's brought to you by the Council for Basic Education, Washington, D.C. It seems Washington, D.C. has been telling kids to go to school, to go to these, mainstream educational systems for quite some time, and they're still at it, right, Michelle Obama?